Hello there, boys and girls. Welcome to iTTV. In our lesson today, I'll be explaining to you further about parallel lines, and we will be attempting some problematic questions in our lesson today. Let us look into our first question. Calculate the values of the unknowns in the following diagrams. Give reasons for your answer. Well, boys and girls, in our next question, we are requested to find the values of x and y and to give reasons for our answer. If you look very closely, we have two parallel lines. Those on my right, this, and we have another parallel line here, this way. The next question is, how am I going to find the value of x? Let's say I draw a transversal this way. Since I have a transversal this way, and if you look closely, I can see that there is a Z alphabet being formed here. This is the Z alphabet, and I know Z carries an indication it to be an alternate angle. Therefore, x and 76 are alternate angles. Being an alternate angle, x will carry the same amount, that would be 76 degrees in nature. Then let's look into y. How is y relevant to 87 or 76? Now, if you look, we have another pair of parallel lines. We have a parallel line this way, and we have a parallel line this way. I think let me put it to you in blue so that it's much more clearer. We have this, and we have another parallel line this way. If I were to draw a transversal downward, so now I think you are able to see this clearly. So we have a parallel line, we have a transversal. So how is y related to 87? Are you able to guess the answer? Yes, I'm sure you're right. 87 and y are interior angles because they form a U-shaped pattern. And being an interior angle, in order for me to find the value of y, I take 180 degrees minus 87, I should obtain 93 degrees. The answer being both y and 87 degrees are interior angles. Let's move on to the next question. Calculate the values of the unknowns in the following diagrams. Give reasons for your answer. Well, boys and girls, in our next question, we are required to find the values of x and the value of y. Firstly, let us look into x. If you look very closely, I can observe that there is a triangle being formed here. Can you see that? There is a triangle. So once you have discovered that this is a triangle, the next step to the solution of x would be simpler. Therefore, in order for me to find the value of x, I take 180 degrees minus 92 and minus 41. I should obtain a 47 degrees. This is how we solve for x. Next, how do I solve for y? On closer examination, I note that there is two parallel lines this way, and I can draw a transversal this way. So if you note, the red ink depicts the letter Z. Once it has depicted the letter Z, it means an alternate angle. Therefore, since x is equals to 47 and it is being an alternate angle, y should also carry the same amount. Therefore, y value is 47 degrees because it is an alternate angle. This is how we attempt this question. Let's move on to the next question. Find the values of the unknown angles in these figures. trapezium? Well, boys and girls, if you look into this question, obviously you can note that this is actually a trapezium. Now, what is the concept in trapezium? We know that in a trapezium, two sides are parallel. So which two sides are parallel? If you look here closely, we have this line and we have this line down here, parallel. So how does issues of parallel comes into play in trapezium? Now the question wants us to find the value of 1y. If you look very closely, since we have two parallel lines here, I'm going to draw a transversal. So this is the transversal. Now immediately you would be able to see that since this is a parallel line and transversal, the angles inside this diagram forms an interior angle. If you remember, the sum of interior angles is 180 degrees. That is the reason why I put the sum here. 2y add 3y gives me 5y. Now, why did I add up? Simply because I know the sum of angles is equals to 180 degrees. Therefore, the sum of y will give me 5y, and this value of 5y is equals to 180 degrees. So in order for me to find for 1y value, I take 180 degrees, divide by 5, I should obtain y as 36 degrees. So this is how you attempt this question. What you need to see here is, although there is a trapezium being formed, but you must understand concepts of trapeziums, those being there are two lines which are parallel in a trapezium. Let's move on to the next question. Find the values of the unknown angles in these figures. Parallelogram. Well, boys and girls, let us look into this question now. In this question, we are given a parallelogram and we are asked to find the values of x and y. Like in trapezium, we need to understand the concepts of parallelogram. What are the characteristics of a parallelogram? The characteristics of a parallelogram is we have two lines this way which is parallel, and we have two lines this way which is parallel. So how can we find the value of x first? If you note, I'm going to use this parallel line. I'm going to use this parallel line to find for x first. This and this parallel line, and I draw a transversal down this way. So I'm using this parallel line. If you note very closely, x and 58 are actually interior angles. As such, in order for me to obtain the value of x, I take 180 degrees minus 58 degrees. I have 122 degrees. Reason being both x and 58 are interior angles. That is how I obtain the value of x. X being 122 degrees. Turning our attention to the value of y. Like x, y is also located in two parallel lines. Which are those? Let me draw the line this way. This line downwards and this line. We have two parallel lines, and I'm going to draw the transversal this way. So you can see very clearly I have a U-shaped pattern. And being a U-shaped pattern, both the value of 122 and the value of y, they are also interior angles. As such, to obtain value of y, I take 180 degrees less 122 degrees. I have y as 58 degrees because both value of y and the value of 122 are interior angles. I hope you have taken down some important notes on parallelogram issues. Let's move on to the next question. Find the values of the unknown angles in these figures. Rectangle. Well, boys and girls, let us look into this question. This question is a rectangle question. What we are requested to find is the value of x and the value of y. Before we proceed further, we need to understand the characteristics of a rectangle. What are the characteristics of a rectangle? Like in your trapezium and parallelogram, rectangles also have parallel lines. Where are those parallel lines? This is the first parallel lines. This is a set of parallel lines, and we have another set at the top. So then, how can we find the value of x and y? Let us look into y first. Now, I'm going to use these two parallel lines. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use this. And I'm going to draw a transversal across this way. Okay, if I want to do a transversal, I think in this question, more relevant would be this way. I'm going to draw a transversal this way so that I have a Z formation. I have a Z formation, and being a Z formation, I have an alternate angle issue coming into play. Therefore, the value of 51 is equals to the value of Z in this manner, simply because y is an alternate angle to 51. Therefore, the value of y is 51 because they are alternate angles. How then can we find the value of x? If you look on closer inspection, we note that there is a triangle being formed. This is the triangle in the picture. So you know very well, in a triangle, the sum of angles would be 180 degrees. We already have a 51. We want to find x, but the question is, we need to find this angle and this angle, because these two are the remainders in that triangle. So how then can we find these two angles? If you look closely, we have a 69 out here. How is 69 related to this angle here? Well, you are right. This is a vertically opposite angle. So therefore, 69 is vertically opposite to this angle here. So we have a 69 here. What about angle here? Now, obviously, you need not find this angle simply because we know this would be a right angle, because all vertices in your rectangle would be 90 degrees. That would be the answer, 90 degrees. But for the sake of calculation, I know 90 less 51, I would obtain a 39 degrees. So in order for me to find for x, I take 180 degrees minus 69 from here, minus 51 from this side, and 39 from this side, and I get an answer of 21 degrees. That is how we find the value of x. In this picture, now in this diagram, we have issues of parallel lines and issues of triangles coming into play. Let's move on to the next question. Find the value of the unknown angles in these figures. Square. Well, boys and girls, let us now turn our attention to the final question here. We have a square on the board, and we are requested to find the value of x and y. Now, in a square, we know these two lines are parallel and these two lines are parallel. The other issue that we need to consider is these angles are right angles. Right angles makes up 90 degrees. So how are we going to find the value of x first? If you look into x is made up of a triangle in this manner. So in order for me to find the value of x, I got to draw the triangle first. Now, to find for x, I already obtained this as 90 degrees. I have a 50. So the remainder for your x is 180 less 90 on this side and 50 on this side, and x will give me 40 degrees. It's that simple. Next, we look into y. Now, like x, y on this side, in order for me to find for y, firstly, I need to find the value here. Why is it so? Because I know this is a straight line. The sum of angles would give me 180 degrees. question is, what is the value here? Now, if you look on this triangle here, the smaller triangle here, we are also going to use this smaller triangle. Now, we know this is also a right angle triangle, which is 90 degrees. We have a 50. So therefore, the remainder on this side would give me 180 less 90 less 50. That would give me a 40. So to find for y, I take 180 minus 40. That will give me 140 degrees. So if you look into this question, we have issues of triangle coming into play. So therefore, students, in our lesson today, what is very important for you is, firstly, you have to identify the characteristics of certain shapes, particularly in your exams, questions on trapezium, parallelogram, rectangles, or even squares can come out in your exams. Firstly, you need to know the characteristics. Having known the characteristics, then you have to apply the issues of parallel lines in relation to alternate angles, corresponding angles, and interior angles in order to solve for the unknowns given. I hope you have understood our lesson today. I hope to see you in another exciting lesson to come. Till then, bye from me.